So there's Brian and I, and we are headed into the Boot Hill Museum. We think we're going to learn about Wyatt Earp.
That's what we understand.
That's what we understand. We're in Dodge City, Kansas visiting. We stopped and visited my mom's brother and his wife briefly at their antique store. And across from us, you can kind of see the old railroad station, the train, and back in the distance over here, they've got, you can't almost see it. There it is. They've got a saloon and grill in an old Diamond Petro mercantile store. It's pretty cool. They've salvaged a lot of these historical buildings and have repurposed them. It's really neat. So at the museum, this is the gift shop. They have an assortment of paraphernalia for purchase. Here's the cow. All kinds. Whatever suits your fancy. I had this. These are made out of horns, like bull horns. Those are cool. Sarsaparilla. And we're going into the museum. So we'll see what we learn. So this display talks about where you would find Native Americans and kind of where they used to live before they were forced out onto reservations. This cartridge case was presented to George Hoover for being the top seller of Budweiser beer. One of the places that we're going with my in-laws is to the Anheuser-Busch distillery when we go to Kentucky in June.
Birds like these were the lifeblood of the Plains Indians. They revered the buffalo as an all-encompassing natural resource, shipping exotic fur back east and leaving the carcasses to rot. By the end of the 19th century, the great buffalo dwindled near extinction, with as few as 1,000 across all of North America.
As these buffalo run across the feel the floor vibrates. You can feel it vibrating from their hooves and running across the ground. It's very interactive. If you've never seen Texas Longhorn, this is kind of what they would look like. They're bred for this area. Outlaw or Lawmen? William Bat Masterson, Wyatt Earp, Luke Lamar Short, William Teichman, James Kelly, and here you get to vote. Guilty or not guilty?
These are interesting.
Guilty or not guilty. See you look here. This man, dancing, drinking with friends, cowboys carrying pistols. Marshal Masterson asked Wagner, the most intoxicated, to surrender his weapon. Wagner was disarmed, but he pulled out a second hidden pistol and shot Masterson in the abdomen at close range. It set fire to the marshal's clothing. The gunfire ensued, and then the beloved marshal died less than an hour later. Guilty or not guilty? He says he was a victim. He was not guilty.
was over, I came from one of the best families in Boston. St. Aubrey, New York, all the best.
I left Dodge not long after that business with that singer that was gunned down.
Door in hand.
You know, I still remember the fellow that shot her. Spike Kennedy? He was aiming for her lover.
Mayor Kelly.
He shot her instead. Didn't even know he killed her until we arrested him.
I wish you two were still lawmen. I'd have you clapped in irons for drinking on the job.
Folks in town do like them, and they're friendly.
As long as you don't ask them to obey the law. See, I'm trying to make it so you want to raise a family in Dodge. And they ride in here with their rowdyism, intimidating everyone, carrying weapons.
You're carrying, ain't you?
And a good thing I do. Beth, you look tough. When you face down my double barrel, you dropped your Colts quick.
Now, we're all friendly here, so long as I run the Long Branch. Ain't that right?
I suppose.
Yes, sir.
Indeed. Hey, Webster, you ever read the one about how to aim your gun? If you want to hit a fellow in the chest, aim for the groin.
That's my joke.
It is.
So they've got shops all along here for you to walk around and look in. So here is the jail. And we're told 6 feet past the door is where there were 2 cells. And here they are. And it can find 3 to 4 soldiers per cell. And they were kept here for weeks at a time. Looks like they got a potty hole that they would use. And there's a hole for them to communicate with one another and pass stuff back and forth. But this jail was in use from the 1860s to 1870s. And so it's the Cavalry Exhibit Building, and there are autographed pictures of famous cowboys. Gunsmoke. Okay. Other autographed mementos from days gone by. U.S. Marshal's office. This museum is probably one of the most well done museums we've seen. I mean, it's just different buildings. All the stuff's interactive. It's like Katharine Hepburn. All different types of farm equipment. I mean, it's really well done. All different types of exhibits. Things to see. Cowboy Hall of Fame. Freddie Escobar and his guitar. That's something. So this is the story of the Mexican village with memorabilia. This was placed in honor of Sarah Torres, made by her grandson. This would have been a schoolroom, similar to what they would have attended school in the town then and now. So families declined, and by 1955, city officials, along with the Catholic pastor, so these are the memories of some of the people who were gone and buried here. would have been the cemetery, Boot Hill Cemetery, from 1872 to 1879. And I think this goes from the barn to the Dalton house. This has been reconstructed. Originally it was about 4 foot by 2 foot dirt and boards. And the Dalton gang used this as their hideout before they met their demise trying to do a 2-bank robbery.
One thing we learned from the gentleman here at the Dalton Gang's front register, he was mentioning to us that the reason them guys are so highly hunted and sought for was they put a $5,000 bounty, dead or alive, on each one of them. So there's $15,000 from that picture we saw where they actually got 3 of them. The 4th one, I'm not sure exactly what his story was, but he was with them at the time when they were all killed. So they had 15 men, I guess, a posse, when they found out they was going to try to rob 2 banks in one day, and ended up killing them all. So they didn't fare so well, but the house is pretty neat, and the tunnel going to it where they hid out was pretty cool too. So pretty neat to see. It's pretty small, but it's pretty cool to see.
Neat find in Meade, Kansas. So going up the stairs. It looks like original paper on the walls. Which the house is 2 stories.
It's also interesting to notice that them 2 gentlemen were the ones that found the tunnel between the house and the barn.
Who were?
These
Horace
2
and Luella Marshall?
Yeah, they were
Who lived here?
Yeah, after the Dalton people left,
Uh-huh.
they found the tunnel.
The museum has a collection of animals, weaponry, guns from 1906, 1851 revolver, different books. Those are all school books from the late 1800s. Shoe molds. Some kind of grinder, hat and glasses. Flags, shoes, baskets, typewriters, saddles, shaps, Brandon irons, types of barbed wire, bits, more stuff about Dalton's. Citizen. So the robbers, which 3 of them were Daltons and 2 other gentlemen, planned their attack at Coffeyville's banks around 9:30. And Bob and Emmett Dalton had collected about close to $20,000 from one bank. And Grat Dalton and the 2 strangers, Bill Power and Dick Broadwell, entered the Cotton National Bank, corralling people inside and demanding money. Citizens outside the city from the hardware store and Boswell store armed themselves and went and shot the bandits and basically mortally wounded them all and collected their money back. So that was the end of the Dalton gang. Correction, Emmett Dalton was wounded and spent his life in prison. This is what the town cobbler or shoemaker would used to hold the shoes to make his shoes. Sadly, the Heritage House, which is next to the Dalton House, is closed today, or we would have toured it. But they do have restrooms on property. Jack Taylor Memorial Bridge, something you see as you go down the road. Isn't that cool? Railroad bridge, just in the middle of Kansas.
This is the Liberal, Kansas Wizard of Oz display. Just a few pictures of it.